Welcome, everybody, to the Cincinnati Bengals weekly show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I am one of your co-hosts, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my other two co-hosts. First up, Ty Robbins. How you doing, Ty?
What's going on? When I'm on here, I don't claim to be a professional or anything. I'm not like Joe. I never played in the Super Bowl or college, and I didn't coach at the level that you did with football. But I am, I guess I bring in the fan perspective for one, and two, I have coached wrestling for 30 years, so I do know something about coaching. I'm not as hard on Coach Taylor as say Mike, but I will say this: I do listen once a week, as we do this. And the thing I've noticed in Taylor's after his conferences after the games, he keeps apologizing for a play that he called in, or that was my bad, or and I think as a coach, the hardest thing, or one of the most important things I had to learn, was giving up responsibility, surrounding myself with other coaches and giving up some of that responsibility. And if you keep saying you're sorry for plays, or you're not managing the clock, or maybe it's time to give up some of those responsibilities and just focus on one thing till we start winning. So that's my perspective this week.
I think I've been saying that for over a year about Opie Taylor there. All right, and our other co-host, 1988 AFC champion, number 58 with the Cincinnati Bengals. Help us welcome to the show, Joe Kelly. How you doing?
Way. What's up, fellas? Another week under our belts, man. Didn't look pretty. There are some bright spots. To chime in on, with Ty, I hear what you're saying. But the NFL, I learned real early in my career that the NFL stood for not for long, and that's I can see that's what this coaching staff has to understand. You're in a situation. Regardless, you didn't have any previous head coaching experience, no coordinator experience, but Mikey decided to hire you. So at the end of the day, you're in the hot seat. This is the bed, that you made, and it's not about excuses anymore. It's here you drafting players. You could have. There's a couple moves in the offseason that you could have made that you didn't. I think in the long run, in my opinion, the offensive line coach, that acronym NFL not for long, because he's choosing these guys. The verdict is still out on a first round from last year. I still see some positive things with Jonah. But you gave $21 million, and coach, head coach, you had to sign off on that. You gave $21 million to a right tackle that, in my opinion, is not even an NFL football player at all. So those decisions like that, and making time management, making bad calls and crucial situations, eventually going to catch up with you. We have a good team, but at the end of the day, as Bengal fans and Bengal Nation, we're going to get tired of apologizing. Let's get a damn win.
Yeah, and the thing that gets me is Coach Taylor is known for being this innovative offensive mind. I don't know how, since he's never been a coordinator, but I'll digress on that. But how many times do we have to see this archaic two tight end set to attempt to run the ball, Joe? They don't have the offensive line to do this.
Yeah, so you look at it. I think he's trying to. We talked about when he first came, that Ram mentality. What they were doing with the Rams and their tight end and their offense, and what they were doing. You look at New England with the two tight ends, and when they had Gronkowski. They had two tight ends. That were formidable. You have to go and call plays and design schemes based on what you have, and I don't see anybody that is knocking on the door to sign any tight end that we have. Now, we lost Husmanzada for the season, I believe. You have to adapt. You have to adapt, and you have to look at what is our strength? You know, what, and we talked about last week, what is our identity? There is still a huge identity crisis with the Bengals offensively and especially defensively. You know, are we going to be a power? Are we going to be too tight? You know, are we going to be four wides? You know, we're spread offense. You know, what are we doing? And right now, you know, we had that young kid throw the ball 61 times. And, you know, Joe Burrow's the truth. Joe Burrow's, the reads, you listen to some of the you know, the Hall of Fame quarterbacks and some of the other quarterbacks who have the league talk about him, and some of the veteran quarterbacks that are retired that talk about him. And me as a player playing around, you know, playing in the NFL and seeing what this kid is doing. This kid is special, you know, and I would, man, it would be just horrible if we're not able to surround this kid with some NFL talent to really watch this kid flourish.
All right, so CJ Uzama is out for the season, Ty. Season-ending injury, but one silver lining, and it was one of the few I saw in this game outside of Joe Burrow, with second-round pick, which a lot of people tracked, including us, I think. Drew Sample had a chance to step up big, and he did. He caught 7 of his 9 targets. Drew Sample looked like maybe he could be the tight end of the future in Cincinnati.
You know, I watched him when they drafted him out of Washington. So I watched a lot of his film just to get an idea what this guy's all about, you know, because they drafted him obviously because he was the best blocker in the, you know, coming out of the draft. But he could catch. Like they just never threw it to him, but when he did get thrown to, he caught him. So, you know, last week he had 7 catches for 40-something yards. And, you know, so I think he can, you know, step up. He's gotten better. He worked out with Hubbard over the summer, bulked up a little bit, worked on his speed, worked on his hands. So we'll see. You know, it seemed like everything they threw to him, he just about caught. So that's always a good sign. If he can get open, we'll see. We need some blockers, though.
All right, so we're going to talk about the blockers. And the right side of the offensive line was absolutely atrocious. The left side was terrible, so we won't talk about the left side because terrible is better than atrocious. And Fred Johnson, in his first NFL start, was terrible. Bobby Hart was terrible. And you know you're in trouble, Joe, when Billy Price being hurt is a huge loss.
You know, it's a situation now, man, where, you know, they're scrambling. You look at that and you know, unfortunately, you know, Billy Price, I think we got enough game film on this kid to see that it didn't warrant, you know, getting picked that high for whatever. I don't know why. When he was a great college center, you know, play guard. You know, you look at him, you know, his stature, you know, the size of his legs, he got, you know, used tree trunk type body. You would think that would relate once he got to the NFL, you would think that, you know, how he was built and the program that he's come from, that it would be a smooth transition. But for whatever reason, and like I said, it's never, you know, the size. You look at a guy's size and, you know, their strength and their speed, but it doesn't always transition well to the NFL. And for whatever reason, you know, he's struggling. And, you know, this game is you know, it's I would say 30-40% physical, you know, but then you there's a high percentage that this is a mental game. And when you're in the trenches, man, and you're getting beat, when you're used to, you know, in Pop Warner High School and college, and you're the biggest, you're the fastest, you're the strongest, and you're able to move guys and do all this and do all that. But then when you get to the NFL, guess what? Everybody's big. You're going to get to the NFL, and there's going to be a number of people that's bigger than you, faster and stronger than you. And you know, it plays a mental part. And, you know, I don't right now, I don't think Billy Price think he can play. There's nothing. There's nothing else I can say about 68. I don't even want to.
I would say this. I think that it's time to see what a rookie like Hakeem Adeniji can do. I think this is a guy, when you watch his college film, looks better than most of the guys the Bengals have drafted a lot higher than him. And I mean, what the hell is the risk at this point, Ty? Because we know Bobby Hart's ass can't do it.
Yeah, I think they're going to try to figure out the best possible line in this game, but they're running out of options. There's just nothing in the reserve. I really thought that Michael Jordan would step his game up on the left. I was hoping Jonah would come out, and then with the right side, I don't know what they were thinking with Hart, and after seeing his play, I guess they're going to have to figure something out on that side. Whether they're putting up a tight end to try and help cover or a back to cover, because right now it's not looking great.
Yeah, I think our only option with that, you can't take our running back, and ask Mixon or Giovanni to be the guy that's chipping. Because now you're taking away a facet of our offense. You can utilize one of those tight end guys, and here, chip on this guy, turn around, short dump off. That's your third, fourth option, which you can still sort of run your offense. But when you start having to take one of our backs to chip for this guy, but when you have to change your scheme, your game plan based on one guy getting beat so bad. I would think as a coach, you would say, well, hey, here, let's this, because right now, what do you have? It's early in the season, stick him in there. How much worse could this kid play? But you can have a diamond in the rough, put him out there, throw him out to the wolves, and if you're going to throw some, this is the perfect week. It's a perfect week for us, because I think we're playing against a team that's just as bad as we are. They're decimated with injuries. So I think it's you have to figure out. You just can't. What you have in Bobby Hart. So you're not going to lose. What you have. So here, mix and match, put some guys on there, try something out, and you never know. This guy may come in and be a diamond in the rough and something that can propel our season into a different direction. I'm looking at it, the way we're looking at certain important positions, that offensive tackle, the interior D line, the linebackers. These are crucial spots, and we're on a trajectory that mirrors last couple of years.
Yeah. Or I think, put the rookie in at guard and put Fred out at tackle.
Yeah.
He'd be a better tackle anyway, and try that scheme and see how that works out.
Yeah.
And push him hard out and see if it works a couple series. Since you didn't have preseason games, this is, like you said, Joe, this is a perfect game to try that and set yourself up for, the rest of the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the lack of a scouting staff has a lot to do with this too. And Billy Price, Michael Jordan, I'm sorry, but when you watch their college film, they do not look like NFL offensive linemen.
Yeah.
And neither does Cedric Igwehi. I mean, he just had the frame of one. And a lot of times, I think this just happens to be that, Mike Brown could see all the Ohio State games and all the SEC games, and that's where the scouting is being done. The thing that was really worrisome is the fact that they retooled this defense to be able to stop the run, Joe. And it's worse now than it was last year. They gave up 155 yards to the Chargers. Now they're giving up over 200 yards to the Browns. And that last drive where the Browns win the game was basically them just running the ball down the Bengals' throats.
Yeah, and when you're in a situation when and certain segments of the game, certain situations, here we're lining up. We're not doing any fakes. May do a boot, but we're running right at you. It. I know they could have basically went to the line of scrimmage and said, hey, we're running off the tackle. We're running off tackle, period, and stop us. We the calls, you're making calls to try and stop their power plays, and they ran it right down our throats. I spoke last week. Ty, you like the linebackers a little bit. I mean, if I don't watch anything, I watch linebackers. I watch when they read. I'm looking at their false steps. I'm looking at if you're inside, if you're looking at the interior with the guard center and well, not many fullbacks, but you can still tell by the interior where they're going. There's a lot of misdirection, but I just see a lot of false steps. I don't see guys attacking line of scrimmage. No linebackers taking on a lineman and taking a lineman and then making a play. We need 97. If 97 is not playing, we have Mike Daniels. He was out, but 97 is going to be the key. He is going to help our linebackers. The young guys, Bynes is who he is. He's in his 9th year, so we're seeing the best of him. He's made some couple plays here, but he's a guy. He's a guy. He's not, we're not gonna change. We're not gonna double team him. We're not gonna misdirection. We're just gonna run at him. He's a guy. Can he make plays? Yeah. He's a 9-year vet, but he's a guy. The other guys, they're so young. I don't even know if they don't know. One of my Coach Seltz's famous quotes, when I first started playing, you don't know what you don't know. And I'm sitting as a rookie like, what the hell is he talking about? You don't know. And as you grow and as you learn, as you gain experience, then the game slows down. Right now, the game is so fast for those linebackers right now. They're step slow. And all you can do, I mean, there's not going to be anybody we can pick up to improve, for this year. And all you can do is hope that, at least one of those guys, one of the rookies, find the game slows down a little bit. Our defensive scheme, you start understanding that. And once you start understanding the scheme, now you can go play football. So I think, those young guys are still trying to grasp what our season, what our system is, in order for them to play faster.
My question to you, Joe, is this. I don't understand the scheme they're trying to run. I didn't understand it last year. I don't understand it now. So if the scheme is bad, you can't really understand it. If you do, you're understanding something that's wrong. What I see here is I think after this game, there needs to be a new defensive coordinator. And I don't care what happens in this game. He needs to have his ass fired. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, I think at some point in time, if you go in there, if we lose Philly, and Philly runs on us, there has to be changes. Because Philly is on they're in as bad a situation as we are. Like we talked about earlier, Ty, it's identity. We don't have one. Here, even when you have two very inexperienced offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, what is he trying to run? What is he trying? Do you because now you don't have 97 and Daniels? Do you change your whole scheme? Your scheme is your scheme. The way you're attacking offense is still you're going to attack. You just need somebody to come fill that hole. But you can't change your concept every week. You have to adapt and look at what their strengths are. You look at San Francisco misdirection. Okay, we got to play that. But we're still going to play our defense. And then we're gonna change things or make different calls in the secondary, make different calls in the front to combat some of the stuff that they're doing. But just like last year, Mike, you see our guys, our guys with blown coverages. You see guys wide open. You seeing guys running through, a Mack truck can run through this hole. Somebody's in the wrong place, So like you said, it's an identity. And I think the coaches. Ultimately, it falls on the coaches to get your guys prepared and get them knowledgeable of what you're trying to do, so these guys can play some football.
Yeah, and I think the one difference here is this. I think the Philadelphia Eagles have one of the better coaching staffs in the NFL. I think Doug Peterson's a hell of a coach. I assume that at some point in the next few weeks, he's going to figure out a way for this team to win. They did it last year when they lost pretty much all of their wide receivers. And Carson Wentz is throwing the ball to taxi cab drivers and winning games and going to the playoffs. I don't have that faith in Zach Taylor, which is one of the reasons why I call him Opie. And when you look here up front, both teams have been plagued by injuries. And Geno Atkins and Mike Daniels look like they're both going to miss this game again. And, Xavier Su'a-Filo, whatever the hell his name is, he looks like he's going to miss the game because he's on injured reserve. So when I look at this, both teams look like a mess. But it really worries me that they have an adult that runs their team and Doug Peterson, and we've got, Andy's son Opie running ours.
I do like the fact that what I read this week where the coaches can't do it. The players are like Bell coming in, and providing leadership and saying, hey, we got to get it together. And they're going to hold other players accountable, right? And so they said, hey, some people may not be here next year if you can't get the job done. And I like that we're going to change that mindset, that we're not going to hopefully go into 7 games that we've lost in a row, that the players are going to tell these guys to step it up. And it's time to put up or shut up, right? So we're going to get –
how much does the players winning like that, Joe, really have an effect, though? Because I still think this. I don't know that it's so much. I think the offensive line, the players are that bad. But at some point, this all has to fall on the guys who pick those players. And everything we hear right now is everything's changed. Free agency and everything. They gave Zach Taylor what he wanted. They draft who he wanted. And who he wanted right now isn't getting it done. And the other thing that it brings me back to is this, Joe. Should we really see NFL linebackers, especially starting NFL linebackers, taking repeated false steps?
No, you shouldn't. But like I said, it's you can see that when they are still trying to understand their concept. I can play fast. Once I know my defense, I can play fast. Now, all I'm doing now is studying the offense, their scheme, their tendencies, and what they're trying to do. If I'm still thinking about you're making a call, and I'm still thinking about adjustments. They make adjustments. That make this call for D-line. Do I change the safeties? So if I'm doing that, I'm going to be a step slow. So I don't know. How more simplified can the defense get? And there may be a situation where you have to dumb it down so much to in order to allow your young players. So your young players, that's your linebackers. You got veteran D front. You brought in veteran DBs. Youngest DB is our safety, who's probably right now playing the best out of all of them. Like Ron Bill.
Jesse Bates might be the best player on this team, Joe.
Oh yeah. Right now he is. So he's still a young guy, and I just see a lot of things when you have guys running through holes that big. And first time the linebacker touches him is 7 yards down the field. That's a problem, and it's not like it was just that last drive against Cleveland. It's perpetual. It's over and over. Is the defense that tough for everybody? I've never played on defense where I'm not gonna say that. The first year Jets, it was the Bad News Bears because the coaches didn't. Our linebacker coaches didn't agree on things. Pete Carroll was calling things, and the cornerback coach and the safety coach didn't agree. So we were all over the place. And so I'm kind of looking at that, and it kind of if the defensive coordinator is making calls that the defensive back coach or linebacker coach don't agree, there can be some confusion, and you see it on the field. It shows in game, and when you have teams that defense that is playing that bad, and you look at a situation, it's Cleveland, a decent team. Cleveland got beat
38-6
the week before, so but they came out and we made their offense look like they were one of the best, and they no doubt they're those two really good NFL running backs, but we made them look like they're the 2 best tandem running backs in the league. So it's a direct reflection on either our lack of understanding our own defense or we're that bad.
Yeah, and another bright spot in this game, really the first 2 weeks of the season, maybe the brightest spot outside of Jesse Bates and the way Joe Burrow's played is special teams play by Brandon Wilson, his kick returning. And hell, that might be our best chance to win a game if he could just return 3 kicks in a game for touchdowns, Ty.
Yeah, he's had 2 weeks of great runs, so I think he's going to break one before soon coming up the way he's been running. But you got to look at who's his coach. Is it Daryl Simmons?
Simmons, yeah.
And
Darren Simmons.
Yeah.
Darren Simmons, and he's one of the best out there. And we're lucky we got him, and so he's going to hold. I've seen him on the sideline hold people accountable. If you don't do your job, you're going to hear about it. And so maybe that's why.
Hey, Ty, maybe that's your next head coach.
Yeah.
It won't be the first time. I remember. I don't know, Mike. You remember Frank Gans?
Frank Gans, Kansas City.
Guru. He got the job based on.
Bill Cowher. Bill Cowher got the job from the Steelers. Marv Levy, he was a special teams guru. Who else was? There was another one I'm trying to – George Allen. George Allen was the first special teams specific coach. All those guys were really good coaches.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the thing is, everybody would always say we want Marvin gone. If you remember, Joe, I'd always say you could say that, but you might get something worse.
Yeah,
we've got something worse, Ty, because what we get again is a sideline where the coach shows no emotion except for the occasional frustration. You don't see anybody that holds anybody accountable. So I think we just got a younger version of Marvin who knows less football than Marvin.
Yep. I thought, he acquired some pretty good coaches, but then we're doing – I think Easton's a good coach.
This is the thing you got to ask yourself, Ty. If you're a good football coach, why do you want to come to Cincinnati? That is the exact same reason we ended up with Zach Taylor, because good coaches don't want to come here. We always talk about Eric Bieniemy, but why would Eric Bieniemy in his right mind want to come here when he could hang out another 2 years with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and basically have the job of his choice working for another that wants to win and knows how to win? I'm not saying Mike Brown doesn't want to win, but you can want all you want if you don't know how to get it done. And they don't know how to get it done. So Darren Simmons, hell, I'd even question if he's that good just because his ass keeps sticking around here.
Yeah. And he's a guy, he's been in the NFL, he's a player coach. And you look at, what happens? When do we pull the trigger? Do we allow coach to go 0-6 after last year's fiasco, or do you step in and try to salvage the season? Is Bengal Nation going to be relegated to here? Let's just keep this whole hum thing, and then halfway through the season, week 8, we make a change. Well, hell, we're in last place. We're 0-8. So the season is really over for us. We want, fans want to, we're excited every year we get here, man, and we're excited by, about some of the things. Our core guys, our elite guys, they're at their plateau. When you look at AJ Green, you look at Carlos Dunlap, you look at Geno Atkins, these guys are, I don't think these guys can get better. These are really goddamn good players, but they're at that plateau. So here, do we have enough? You got Mixon, you got Jesse Bates, here, hopefully the all the defensive backs that, they signed for free agency are on a trajectory like this. But I don't know right now if we have enough core guys that you can say here, this is the Cowboys of the late 80s when we used to pound Troy Aikman, and then but you look at their core guys, you looked at what they were doing. They were putting that offensive line together, that monster offensive line. You know, they put a quarterback, then they added a running back, then they added the receiver. You know, but you've seen those puzzles, the pieces fitting. You know, the next thing you know, they go from, I don't know, Mike, what 3-13, 2-14.
Well, they were actually, I think, 1-15 in like '89 under Jimmy Johnson, and then in '90, I think they won 7 games, just missed the playoffs. '91, they go to the playoffs, lose to Detroit. Then they win a couple Super Bowls in a row. But the difference is this: Jimmy Johnson was a qualified head coach who had won national championships in college, who knew, and he had an owner in Jerry Jones that let him make the necessary moves to be able to win. Right. And we see after that, Jerry Jones decided to become the rich man's version of Mike Brown. He fires the guy because he wants the credit, and they haven't not done anything since. And the other sad thing is when you talk about the core guys on this team getting older, the core guys on this young team all have one thing in common, Joe. None of them are offensive linemen. There's not one offensive lineman here where you can tell me with a straight face that's a good football player. There's not one. So everybody complains about Bobby Hart and what we saw from Fred Johnson. But when you get down to it, the only reason that people aren't ripping on Jonah Williams, he's a rookie, he's a first-round pick. But my problem is this. I've seen all kind of first-round offensive tackles that suck when they get here. Now, I don't think Jonah Williams is that. When I see Jonah Williams, I see a guy who's got good hands. He's got good – he doesn't look like a total bitch like Bobby Hart does when he plays. He's got some fight to him. I think he'll be fine. But the other thing you got to realize is there's 5 offensive linemen and have to play as a unit. We've got maybe one of those 5 right now. That's a huge issue going forward because – you know, this year they spent all the money on A.J. Green. That's great, but shouldn't we have kept that money, not sign the aging receiver, and go out and get a free agent or 2 maybe that can play, or trade A.J. Green for some picks? You need offensive linemen. I would say this: if this is my team next year when I go into the NFL draft, hell, I'm at a point where I would probably pick 5 offensive linemen in the first 5 rounds, just hoping 2 or 3 of them can play, so then I would have an offensive line.
Yeah, you know, it's tough, and it goes back to lack of scouting department, getting scouts out there and going to these schools and going to the college, the practices to see, you know, what kind of players these guys are, and stop relying on Mel Kiper and his report. You know, actually going out and seeing some of these guys, and you know, if you're seeing some of these guys and you know, if Jonah Williams was hurt at Alabama, because it's still hard for me to imagine that this guy got that seriously injured in shoulder pads and helmets and shorts. But if you had a scout at Alabama during the week, and this kid wasn't practicing, because if he was hurt, you know, he probably was strong enough. They could have gave him a shot, wrapped his shoulder up, and he played on Saturday. You know, but if it was really hurt, he wouldn't have been playing. He's not going to be playing all out on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in practice. You know, so it's little small things that you really can see, you know, from a scouting perspective. But, you know, Mike, I don't think, you know, I don't think in history that's ever been done. So we can, you know, they're going to draft, you know, 4 or 5 linemen in a row. You know, I think because you know, we are so bad, you know, here, you know, we're going to, you sign the center. You know, we got to hope that Jonah will show by midseason that he can be a formidable offensive tackle. And I think you have to go out, you know, and get a veteran, because I don't think there's not going to be that many where you're going to go and you're going to get 2 NFL starters in
you know what, though, Joe? I mean, how many teams in the NFL have a legitimately good offensive line? And that's the problem. There's not many out there. So what you need is you have to have an offensive line coach that can develop guys. And we haven't had an offensive line coach here that can develop guys since Jim McNally.
Jimmy, yeah. You know, well, this guy, you know, the guy we have was you know, from what I gathered, and you know, his name was that here he was a offensive line guru. He took players and made them better.
Was that the guy from the Cowboys you're talking about a couple years ago? Yeah, and he got his ass out of here after 1 year, Joe.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so, I don't, you have to, in order to win, in order to win this league, you have to have players. You can say what you want, you can scheme them, and he can bring the what the Rams were doing offensively and things that he learned with while he was with the Rams. But we don't have the Rams personnel. And you look at had we signed our veteran offensive tackle and not gave them to the Rams, how much better? How many wins?
And him and Zeitler, Joe. It wasn't just Whitworth that was gone. You lost Zeitler too.
Those guys. You're not talking plays here. You're talking a season. These guys. With if you have Zeitler, if you have the guy we gave to the Rams, if you have them too. Last year, I don't know. We're looking at the 10 wins. Here, our trajectory, now we got Joe Burrow's young guy, quick on his feet, can run, making good decisions, and he has Whitworth and these guys blocking for him. That, and then down you can see what your targets, your AJ, your Boyd, and you can utilize the tight ends. You can utilize Mixon. Imagine Mixon, being able to run and he's gaining 120, 130 yards. What is that going to do for the wideouts? It's going to open everything up.
It's also going to make it so our quarterback doesn't get hit so much.
Yeah. So I guess we can get off our fantasy island and talk about what we have, Ty.
It's the cold hard reality of Bengals football. So the Bengals play the Eagles this week. Both teams are 0-2. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys be homers and pick the Bengals. Ty, I'll let you go first.
I'm going to go with the Bengals this week. 28-24. I think Burrow's going to come out. I don't think the defensive line of the Eagles is as tough as the Chargers or the Browns, so I don't think they'll put as much pressure. I think Mixon's going to get his running game on, or at least it'll open up more so than he did last week. It's going to open up the pass play action that they're going to involve, I think, a lot. I think our defense is going to give up some plays without Geno in there, and somebody has to step up. So hopefully that talk in the locker room gets some people, inspired to play, or you're not going to be here. Figure it out. But somebody, this is your opportunity. When you say next man up, this is your opportunity. So make the best of it. If you want to stay in the football, like Joe says, not for long in the NFL, then you better make the best of your opportunity, which is now, especially with a team like the Eagles. So I think this one is one that can pull off. I think Burrow's going to carry them, and I think the defense is going to do just enough to win that game.
All right, Joe, are you going to drink the same Kool-Aid that Ty is?
I don't know, man. I think I need to pour a little bourbon in that Coke, man. I want, but only because I played Philly was my last team, so I got a little piece of myself there, but I think they're just as bad as we are, right now, and I think they're trying to figure it out a little bit. Doug Peterson and I played on my 10th year, playing in Green Bay together. So, always rooting for, some ex-teammates. And I think the thing about Doug is going to keep them in the game. Doug is going to make calls, like their defensive coordinator, like what they do. If their personnel was healthy, I would pick the Eagles, no doubt, right at this point in time. But because of their injuries, I still don't think they addressed their wide receiver issues. I think that's still going to hurt Carson Wentz. Hopefully, our DBs will step up enough to help our running backs. Our linebackers. I think that safety, having the strong safety coming down and filling in and filling in those gaps, and coming up there and helping, because our linebackers need help. So I'm hoping that we're devising a scheme where when our safeties can come down and assist the linebacker play. I think Joe Burrow. I'm excited about what this kid is doing. But what we can't do is expect this kid to throw the ball 60 times. That's insane. That's crazy.
Very few teams win throwing the ball 60 times.
Yeah. Who? Dan Fouts didn't throw that many. He threw it, but when we have to go and throw the ball 61 times against the Cleveland Browns, that's just not a good look. But I think those guys. I'm hoping you had a extra couple of days. You played on Thursday night, so you had a couple extra days to reflect on what. And this could be season changing. Do I think that we're gonna win this game and go into the Super Bowl? I just don't think with the offensive tackle that we have and the inexperienced linebacker that we're gonna get there. But I think and hope that we can make some changes where we can be. We would just want to be Bengal Nation. Just want these guys to be competitive. Go out, compete. If you lose, you get your ass kicked. That happens. But if you go out and you compete, you compete, man. I'm just always big. Here, you may get knocked down, but get your ass up and compete and fight. And I don't see a lot of fight in the offensive line. I think, it's going to be I think Philly's going to, score on us. I just think Joe's going to score a little more than them. And I'm looking at 36, 35. I'm not looking for any team to defensively be dominant. I think Carson and Doug are going to devise things. They've seen some things that the last 2 weeks that we were horrible against, and they're gonna go at it. When you see a open wound, you keep pouring salt on it, and you don't see us adapting. You don't see us changing. Coaches making calls to put the players in a better position, and it happens over and over. And you're like, well, hey man, they're running the same thing. Why can't you stop it? If they're not running crossing routes, why can't you stop it? They're running off that. Why can't you stop it? Because the offensive Doug Peterson, I guarantee you, Doug Peterson has devised an offense to attack all those weaknesses. I guarantee you, the defensive coordinator has they're salivating on what they can do against 68. I may not can do it on left side that much, but we're gonna put pressure, on Joe Burrows. We're gonna make him hit his first or second option. We don't want to let him get his progression, and with that, that's gonna keep Philly in the game. So I see that, it's gonna be a close game, but this week I gotta go with the Bengals, man.
Joe, come on, Joe.
There you go, Joe. There you go.
All right. Well, that means I get to be the only guy that's right again. I think the issue is this. I think the issue is the Bengal line's bad. And that explains it. Joe's drinking something. He has to pick the Bengals.
Yeah, bingo. Look, bingo cup. Yeah.
Lemonade.
It's one of those Bengal cups from Paul Brown Stadium that cost you $12. All right. So my problem, the worst matchup here to me for the Bengals is Fletcher Cox against Fred Johnson. I think that's going to make this so Joe Mixon cannot run. I think they're going to bring the house at Joe Burrow. I think Burrow will complete a lot of passes, but they're all going to be short. The Bengals are going to go with 2 tight ends. They're going to try to play this archaic brand of football. And I will bring this up. Last week when they were successful, it was when they went 5 wide and played at tempo. This should be a tempo game. 5 wide receivers. You can split Joe Mixon out. Heck, you could run him back into the backfield, hand him off the ball. But right now, there's no imagination on this offense. They look like they're trying to protect a guy that doesn't need to be protected football knowledge-wise. I think Doug Peterson and his staff are one of the best in the NFL. So in a close game, I'm going to err on the side with the guy that's got the Super Bowl ring on his hand, and I think you're both absolutely nuts. I think the Bengals will stay in the game, but I think the Eagles win this game 31-23. I just don't see it. I mean, right now, you can't win football games without offensive linemen. You can't win without coaching. Philly doesn't have an offensive line either, but they do have coaching. And the thing is, Doug Peterson is not going to go 2-14 this season. Joe, you've been around him. Dude's not going to go 2-14.
No, he's not.
He's not going to go 0-3 and lose to Opie Taylor on his home field with a team that's got freaking Fred Johnson and Bobby Hart at guard and tackle. So that's my opinion.
You know what? And you know, I want to go with you, Mike. I just see that here. Just the injuries that they have, I put them down, and it's like the perfect storm for us. And you know, coming off, you know, a loss to a rival team, you know, playing on Thursday night again, losing on prime time again, and you know, you got some infused new blood with the new defensive backs. And hopefully, you know, they got up, you know, they talked, and if we can't beat Philly at this stage, I don't see us winning more than 2 games.
All right, so now you're on my page, right, Joe?
That'll be, you know, and it's horrible because, you know, we are definitely not. We have too much talent to be a 2-win team.
See, I don't think we do, Joe. There's no offensive linemen. There's very little linebackers. These are average. I mean, they have certain players that are highly skilled, but those players are all at running back, wide receiver, and quarterback. And we all know, you know, the 1988 Bengals were successful because of the offensive line and an underrated defense. It wasn't because of Boomer Esiason and Eddie Brown. Those guys, I mean, let's face it, against behind that offensive line, it wasn't real hard to score points. And with you guys' defense in the playoffs, you weren't giving up many. I mean, would you give up 13 to Seattle, 10 to Buffalo, and, you know, 20 to San Francisco? That was a great defensive effort with a great offensive line. So to me, you can have all the skill position players in the world, but if you don't have guys that can block and tackle, you're not going to win football games. And this team does not have anybody that can block and tackle except for Jesse Bates.
Yeah. So, you know, and like you have to go out and you know, give those young guys a shot. You know, you talk about the 88 team, you look at, you know, Bruce Reimers. You know, of course you had Anthony Munoz, so, you know, you take him, you had Max Montoya.
Max Montoya. Yeah.
You know, these are both of those guys, you know, great.
Joe Walter.
Yeah. So Joe, but you know, you remember Joe got hurt. So Joe did.
Yeah. And Brian Blado stepped in and played his ass off in those playoff games.
Yeah. He was, but you know, he wasn't, then what was Joe was a 6th-round pick. You know, you got him in there and you let him play and you see what happened. You know, he was
Jimmy Nally coached him too. That helps.
Yeah. Well, it's a difference. You know, and you know, you had Kaz, you know, Bruce Kozerski, you know, but he was a guy that they put in. You know, we had Dave Remington, but you know, at that time, Dave was too many injuries, but they had low round picks, you know, and
Remington's problem was he had those little T-Rex arms, Joe. He couldn't reach nobody.
He had those bad elbows, man. Those elbows were ravaged, and you know, I want to say why. You can assume why. You know, those joints start to go. You know, he's used a lot of juice in Nebraska and it caught up with him. You know, it is what it is, you know, but, you know, but still, you know, you had, you know, we had the greatest offensive tackle to play football. But those other guys that, you know, you gave them an opportunity. And if they didn't get the opportunity, you never would have heard of, you know, Kozerski, Bruce Reimers. You know, but those guys came in there, and all those guys all those guys had good careers. And you have to go out. You know what you have in Bobby Hart, man. You know, give the players an opportunity to change. I'm
telling you, the Hakeem kid could be the real deal, and I don't know why they don't play him.
Yeah, we have to see. So, you know, it's hopefully, you know, the one thing, Ty, when you talk about Von Bell speaking and hey, you know, you won't be around next year. That right there is an issue because you know, hell with next year, you won't be bound next week. You know, perform. Let's perform now because we gotta win now. You know, So I don't know if the head coaches if he feels that type of pressure, but he has to understand the changes that you made and the money that Mikey spent. Mikey opened up the wallet for Mikey. He's
What's going to give
sweating
Mikey
right
a
now.
quicker trigger finger too? Is Mikey?
Yeah, he's sweating right now. So for Bingo Nation, you guys have to understand. If all the money that Mikey spent and all the checks he wrote, and this doesn't work, and we win 2 games, so everything Mikey's been saying since Paul died, why go after the top linebacker? I got all these guys and it didn't work out. Let me still stay in within my realm and go through the draft and hopefully every 7, 8, 9 years we get a playoff caliber team. In the interim, hey, we go with what we have. No need to go after the big free agency pick and try and win it through the draft. So this is a real pivotal place in Bengal history based on all the money he spent last year on free agency.
I agree with that.
And I would think having Joe Burrow here makes this job looks a lot better now than what it did before.
Yeah. You just, man, you as we all, Bengal fans. You just hope that you have a kid that has that. I think he has that. That whatever that is, he has that.
Hopefully, it don't get beaten out.
Yeah. And it could, and it could happen, really quick. Things can happen, and you look at RG3. Came in rookie of the year. He's out of football 3 years, 4 years, and he took some, a couple years out and came back. But you don't want. You hope for this kid being, he's a kid. He's an Ohio kid from Athens. He has the Joe Willie Namath. He has it. And you can hope that Mike can light a fire under this guy. And make an example. If we continue to lose, you have to make an example out of a player. You got to make an example out of a coach. Make a change. And see what's going on. Because we haven't, even though we lack an offensive line and linebackers, we have enough talent to be, win at least 8. And I don't see that right now. And it's unfortunate. I don't see us winning based on what I've seen for 2 weeks. I don't even see 8 wins, and that's just that's not good thing to say. Say to Bengal Nation. Because I'm in that man cave, man, rooting these guys on every week. So it's tough. I know you got a lot of Bingo Nation loyal fans, man, that want this thing to get on track. And but Mike, man, it's it is what it is, and they didn't go out and spend the right money in the right places, unfortunately.
All right. Well, it's the Bengals. At least they spent money. Maybe next year they can spend it in the right places. All right. We're going to wrap it up because it's almost 10, and Ty will automatically fall asleep at 10 o'clock no matter what. Ty's a lot older than me and Joe. Me and Joe are still in our 30s. Ty's in his 50s. So we will be back next Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. So I will not gloat when I'm the only one who's right on the pick, because I hope you two are right, and I can tell you I was wrong. That has not happened in the last 2 years, but we can get a new start. I got a new TV to watch the games on, Joe, so I'm figuring maybe that'll change the luck. So we'll see there. Yeah. So,
I feel lucky this week. I think we're going to do it. I'm just saying.
All right. You say that every week, Ty. You've said it every week since the start of last year. But we will be back Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. You can follow the Grueling Truth at Grueling Truth. So for now, for Joe Kelly, Ty Robbins, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening and watching to the Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.